I'm going to go move to Nashville. They gave me a business card and I put it in my pocket and then I called. He hesitates after I give him the number and he's like, oh, you're from Mississippi? And I said, yeah. And he hesitated a minute more and he's like, is this Chad Bryant? I went home. I put my 2 weeks notice in at my work immediately. I knew that if I didn't just do it, my family would talk me out of it. Everybody would be fearful because nobody's ever done it.
We don't leave this small town.
Everybody did kind of try to talk me out of it, besides my Aunt Diane and besides my grandmother. And they were like, listen, this town is not for you. My boss came to me and was like, you have an amazing personality, but you do not know what you're doing. I was like, so am I getting fired? And he was like, no. He's like, I'm going to send you somewhere to be trained. I thought I was going to maybe go to Kentucky or, I don't know, Percy Priest. I was like, what's going to happen? He sent me to Paris to train. You know, there's a whole thing of like, when you don't know better, you can't do better. But once you know better, you have to do better.
Absolutely.
Life is about taking chances. All the cards were stacked against me.
Straight from Batesville, Mississippi.
Listen.
2 weeks later, on a plane to France.
Listen, my dad.
Little country gay boy.
Hey, motherfucker.
You have a really good team.
Yeah. Yeah, Molly and them are great. I love working with Molly. Tim kind of keeps to himself. Like, he does his own thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And other people on the team are great.
Is Molly essentially the ringleader?
Molly is basically she does a lot of shit. Like, she does all of Tim's stuff. I mean, he has input and he sends her stuff and he's at his home, you know, behind the desk. But, like, Molly is the one out there in the streets getting shit done.
Yeah. No, I like Molly.
You
I've
know?
only done one thing with her.
Yeah, but she's just to the point, up front, but easy, you know. But I love her.
When I did a contract with her, we were doing like blue tape when she was like, I'm having a baby tomorrow. And I was like, get out of here. But she was super, super duper pregnant.
Yeah.
And we did a blue tape. And like a week later, I think she had a baby. And I want to say it was warmer.
Yeah,
months.
It probably was. It's
been a year and a half since I closed that house.
Yeah.
And Molly was pregnant AF.
Mm-mm.
But also like cutest pregnant girl ever. And me that pregnant, I was like house slippers and house dresses and y'all be lucky to see me. And she was out here in like little wedges and dresses. And I was like, stop it, Molly.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. She like will go work on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Her husband gets mad at her. She's like, I gotta go. Let's leave the Christmas Eve party.
My husband sometimes
She's
expects
trying to have more balance.
Yeah. He expects it of me. But also like the amount of contracts and stuff I've gotten done on Christmas Eve, Eve, because people just sort of like feel that pressure. They're finally not working and they can look at the thing and they're like,
right, you just gotta go.
Let's go. The last 2 years in a row, I've written a contract Christmas Eve, because we've decided we're not going Christmas Eve anymore, but our tradition as a family, like me, Alex Madden, we go to Opryland and swim and eat dinner on Christmas Eve. Go look for Santa in the hotel. And like that's
the thing y'all do.
Before we go like big family stuff.
Right, Christmas Day.
But the last 2 years I've been like walking around the hotel writing a contract.
Navigating.
On my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, so we're gonna like go the weekend before Christmas now, because plus the kid's getting older, like, because it used to be we just walk him around in a stroller and he like falls asleep and we have fun, and now he's like jumping all over everything and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And then go to Christmas Eve and then do Santa, and like it's too much. It's too much. I think Hugo says we're rolling. I don't do any intro.
Right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No, because that just adds the pressure. And I can't have you have a panic attack while we're in the middle of this.
God, no, please.
No, but I feel like before we like started, you were talking about, you were trying to have a podcast offline and talking about how you got to Nashville in 2003. And I said, please shut up and save it for the podcast because I will not enjoy a story twice.
No, exactly. Nobody does.
No. So I know that you came from Mississippi.
I did.
And you got here in 2003. You got here to do hair, or you just were like, I gotta get to Nashville?
Yeah. So it's actually a really interesting story. I'm from a small town in Mississippi. My whole family is there. They're all still there. Nobody does not live anywhere besides me. Is that what I say?
And they're all still there.
They're all still there.
Nobody came to Nashville.
Yeah, right. Nobody came to Nashville. They come to Nashville now, but because it's only like 3.5 hours away from my hometown, which is kind of wild. But
so y'all are y'all like just out of Memphis or what?
Yeah. Right below Memphis. Okay. Right below. Yeah. But I mean, I grew up in Curtis Station, which is, population 50 and 25 of them is my family. The other 25 is probably my inbred cousins. But I was there till I was 12, and then we moved to Batesville. And anyway, so I was working in Oxford cutting hair, met a guy, dated him for 3 years. He graduated, moved to Nashville, and I actually came up to say goodbye to him. Ran into some people at P.F. Chang's at the bar.
Okay. West End P.F. Chang's. 2003.
2003.
That was the place to be. There was nowhere else to
Bread
be.
and Company was down the street. Like, Bread and Company was so good.
There was no, like, Saturday night, we were going P.F. Chang's.
P.F. Chang's, yeah. So we walked in. It was actually 5 of us. Me, Justin, Mary Frances, Roxy, and Corey. And we walked in and thought, can we have a table for, how many people is that? 5, 6 people? And they're like, sorry, it's an hour wait. So we like, okay, we'll go somewhere else. And we were about to walk out, and then 2 of the girls were like, we gotta go to the bathroom. So we went by the bar and stood and waited on them to go to the bathroom. But when we stood there, there's not many seats that got up. So we sat down really quick. I sat on the end, Justin sat, next to me, and then his friend sat this way. Well, there was a girl and a guy next to me that while Justin was talking to them, I started talking to Mary Beth and Nathan. And they were like, oh, you do hair, your boyfriend's here, you should come here. And I'm like, no, girl. I was like, I'm trying to say bye. Like, because when you grow up in a small town and everybody's there, it's just what you know. And then you think it's just what you're supposed to do. So you just don't do it. So, but I'm going to try to make this story short. But
we got all day, so
okay, fine. So I basically was talking to them, and as the more they kept trying to convince me to come here, I got nervous because I didn't want Justin to hear, because he really wanted me to, and I was like, And so, but they gave me a business card, and I put it in my pocket, and then I kind of just shut off the conversation. So I was talking to Justin and them the rest of the night, and then we went wherever. And then the next morning, we were looking for like live music and stuff to go listen to. And we got a Nashville Scene and opened it. And both pages were an advertisement for this salon.
Okay.
So I was like, and I always think there's like little God winks. I was like, oh my God. So I like told Justin,
it was the salon of the people you met.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, I pulled out the card and I'm like, oh my God, look, I have a card for the salon. And I told him that I met these people and they were trying to get me to come here. He's like, this is a sign. You should call them. And I was like, oh God. So I called the salon just to see, and I called, and this was 20 something years ago, so I was a lot less professional than I am now. Not that I'm really
you were a
professional,
baby.
but straight from Mississippi, and I just said, "Hey, this is Chad." I didn't say my last name. I was like, "Hey, this is Chad. I met Mary Beth and Nathan. They told me to call and talk to Dennis Clark. Can I talk to him?" And he was like, well, he was like, he's the owner, but he actually cuts hair, so he's busy. He's like, can I get him your number and I'll have him call you back? So I was like, yeah, sure. So I give my number, same number I still have, 662, which is a Mississippi number. And he hesitates after I give him the number. And he's like, oh, you're from Mississippi? And I said, yeah. And he hesitated a minute more, and he's like, is this Chad Bryant? And I was like, what the freak is going on?
Been in Nashville 5 minutes, already famous.
Yeah, and so I was like, what's happening? And so he told me his name, and we went to high school together.
Cute.
And I'd not seen him since. And here's a weirder situation. He normally didn't work there, but he taught at Belmont. But his sister, who I did not know, managed the call center, but she had to be off work for some weird surgery. And he
Just
said he would
covering
take,
for his
and it was his last day to be there. So it was a whole like thing. So I was like, oh my God.
That's a pretty big God wink.
Yeah. Listen, I went home. I put my 2 weeks notice in at my work immediately. Because I worked at a salon and I rented a house from this guy that owned the salon. And I said, hey, I'm moving out. I'll break my lease and I'm going to go move to Nashville. Because I knew if I didn't just do it, my family would talk me out of it. Everybody would be fearful because nobody's ever done it.
We don't leave this small town.
Right. And everybody did kind of try to talk me out of it, besides my Aunt Diane and besides my grandmother. And they were like, listen, this town is not for you. Like, you need to, because I was miserable. I really was. Like,
You're way too big for a small town.
I loved my family, but, I'm gay and I could not find my people. And I wouldn't say I'm a very religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. So I believe in God. I don't believe some other things, which is fine. But, like the book and stuff, like I think there's a lot of truth in the book, but I think a lot of people misuse it. And so especially where I'm from,
they miss the good parts.
Sometimes they use it for all the wrong reasons. And that's what I felt like it was being used for. So I couldn't wrap my brain around it. There was no church I could find that really like I felt comfortable being at. So I just couldn't figure that out. So anyway, they were like, you got to go somewhere else. So I basically worked my first week of my notice, came up that next weekend, interviewed, got the job, went home, worked my last week.
Wait. Back it up.
Yeah.
You put in 2 week notice.
Came up
before you even
had the job.
I was under the impression you had the job.
No, girl. I was like, I'm going. I didn't even have a job.
Bye.
I was like, I just knew. I know myself because I'm easily, at that moment, I was easily influenced, especially by my family.
Yeah.
I knew that if I didn't just do it, I would be like,
we can't sit on this.
So I came up, interviewed, got the job.
Yeah, of course. Thank God.
Worked my last week of my notice, moved here on a Friday and started work at the salon on a Monday.
Love it.
So when I started work, I probably worked there for like a month, maybe 2 months. And my boss came to me and was like, you have an amazing personality, but you do not know what you're doing. And I was like, okay, I've been doing it for 3 years. I was like, so am I getting fired? And he was like, no. He's like, I really think that you would be really beneficial and I want to invest in my business. So he was like, I'm going to send you somewhere to be trained. And I was like, oh, wow. And he was like, I thought I was going to maybe go to Kentucky or I don't know, Percy Priest. I was like, what's going to happen? And he sent me to Paris to train France. Paris, France, not Paris, Tennessee. But Paris, France.
Straight from Batesville, Mississippi.
Listen.
2 weeks later, on a plane to France.
Listen, my dad.
Little country gay boy.
My dad was like, something ain't right with this. They're sending you off to be sex trafficked or something. And I was like, oh, okay.
And you were like, it's okay if they do.
I was like, perfect. I hope so.
Yeah.
Joking. But no, I went and he was like, I'm specifically want you to be trained to cut men's hair.
Okay.
He's like, because Nashville is country music. And at that time, it was still a lot male dominated.
We were chill.
He was like, nobody can cut men's hair in Nashville. And he's like, and so I went over there, I trained there. From there, he sent me to London, he sent me to San Francisco, he sent me to New York. It was basically investing in his business, but that's kind of how I got into like the whole like celebrity hairstyling and stuff like that, because I kind of just became like that person that was really well known for cutting men's hair in the industry here. And so it really did. I mean, it didn't just, and I want to say this. The very first week that I was at the salon, this little gay guy named Adam Barnes came up to me and was like introducing himself and stuff. And he was like, do you want to go to church with me on Sunday? And so it was a whole thing. Like, and I was like, wait, you go to church? And he was like, yeah. And so I went to this church and it was really kind of strange because the church that I went to was a Second Presbyterian on Belmont. Yes. And when I went, it was a very traditional church, like Presbyterian, the whole like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like where I wound up now, which is Cross Point, like where it's like
A little
a
more
rock
progressive.
concert. Yeah. And progressive. But at that moment, I think if I would have gone to a Cross Point or something, I would have totally felt overwhelmed.
Sure.
But it was very familiar for me to go to a church that was very much traditional, but still like everyone was welcome. And like, here again, another crazy thing. The pastor and his wife that I met were from Oxford, Mississippi.
Okay.
So we had like a huge connection.
Yeah.
We became friends. So really this whole thing is how I got to Nashville. And it really did change the trajectory of my life. And it didn't just change my life. It really has changed my family's life. Like even my nieces and nephews that come and stay with me, my parents that never really, I mean, they've gone places, but just, me having an open mind about a lot of stuff that I just didn't even know about. And I was able to share with them. So, there's a whole thing of like, when you don't know better, you can't do better. But once you know better, you have to do better.
Absolutely.
All that kind of thing kind of was what happened. So it was just a really cool situation.
I love that so much. How old were you?
I was
when you got here.
I was 24 or 25.
Just this baby from Mississippi that just showed up, and some guy was like, I fully believe in you.
Yeah.
And your ability to cut men's hair.
Yeah. And it really changed my life. It was insane.
What an angel.
Yeah.
What salon was that?
Aldean.
Oh, okay. Because you were there when I met you.
Yeah, I was there for
forever.
I was there for a long time.
Yeah.
I love that place. But Dennis eventually wound up selling it and moving. And then, and again, same thing with my church, like Deb and Jim Kitchens. They wound up leaving and going to San Francisco. And when they left, it just wasn't the same for me. And when Dennis left, it just wasn't the same for me. It was just a whole thing. You know what I mean? But like, but again, I mean, I could tell you a million of those stories since I've been here that have happened that are just like, there's no question, like there's definitely a higher power, and that, if you are attentive to it and you're open to it, then he'll kind of guide you and lead you and
he'll
show
drag
you
you right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has.
Yeah.
For sure.
And because my connection to you is Holly.
Yeah.
You met Holly at Aldean?
Yep. Holly and I met at Aldean.
Okay.
Yeah. I love her.
And I met you by accident. I feel like I've talked with you about it maybe once, but I was out with other friends. We were at Sunset doing late night, RIP Sunset late night nachos.
Oh my God, Sunset Grill. I forgot about that.
Sunset Grill, late night nachos.
Randy Rayburn.
Which, I mean, maybe every night of my life.
Yeah.
Back in those days, I was at Sunset at 10 p.m. ordering nachos.
Yeah.
And I'm out with maybe 4 or 5 people. It's near Halloween. In walks these two crazies in full Sugar Skull
I have a picture.
makeup.
Yeah.
And we all kind of go, WTF?
We
And
did
then I
not
go,
care.
That's Holly.
Yeah.
And so we flag y'all down, and this is my first time meeting you.
Yeah.
And I get 100% of Chad's personality, and I'm like trying to be like, I really like this guy, but I cannot, like, it's like
get past
full
the face
face
makeup.
paint. Like,
yeah, it was Day of the Dead Skull, like,
Yeah.
type. That's how we were. But we were
So
going to see
intense.
Pretty Lights,
right.
on the riverfront.
So y'all were getting a snack before,
Yeah.
and yes, and I was like, okay. And then I didn't see you again for maybe years, but then the next time I saw you, I'm like, that's Chad. That's the guy in the makeup. We love Chad.
And I haven't had that makeup on since. That was wild. I literally just passed that picture on my Facebook not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah, just to be out. Because, it wasn't even, it was not Halloween, but close enough that it was excusable.
Yeah, totally.
But not close enough.
Walking up into
At
Sunset Grill. Right.
We were like, oh, they stand out.
Yeah.
Wait, I know them.
Do I talk to them?
Do I talk to them? I got to talk to Holly. I got to find out who she's with. It's Chad.
Oh my God.
Chad with 2 Ds. Were you born that way? Chad with 2 Ds?
I was born that way.
Is it short for anything?
Mm-mm.
Just
an
2
extra
Ds.
D.
Yeah.
I could.
No, I love it.
Yeah, I would like for it to be
makes
a
you stand
really
out.
amazing story. But my mom, I said, why? crazy. You can cut this out if you need to. My mom was like, I was like, why'd you name me with 2D? She was like, I just knew you were going to be special, which made me want to throw up a little bit in my mouth. But then my dad, who's super inappropriate, I was like, why'd y'all name me with 2Ds? He's like, I knew you was going to have that extra D down there like your daddy.
Oh,
and
my
I was
God.
Like, oh, okay, that's weird. But
all right, I got to go to Nashville. Bye.
Okay, bye. See you guys. Yeah, so it is an extra D. And a lot of people sometimes are like, did you do that? And I'm like, no, I did not do that.
I mean, your personality justifies it. So it's like, did you do that? Or you were born that way? But you were born this way. I was born
that way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's Chad Lee, but it's not together. Like my middle name is Lee.
Chad, double D, Lee.
Right. My dad's name is Terry Lee.
Okay.
My mom's name is Betty Lee.
Yes.
My nephew's Gage Lee. I'm Chad Lee.
Uh-huh.
You know, my dad's brothers and sisters are Terry, Perry,
Gonna go
Sherry,
out on a
Jerry.
limb here. Y'all from a small town?
Yeah. I grew up in a trailer park.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I love it. You were not born for that.
I was not. It was great to grow up in as a kid, but it's good for a lot of people. It just wasn't right for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God didn't make you that way.
Mm-mm.
God made you for Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been here a long time. That all made me feel very old.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Yeah.
47. I'll be 48.
When's your birthday?
This year. In September. I always round up too. People are like, you shouldn't do that. Most people round down. I'm like, people are like, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 48. It's 2025. I'm 48.
No. Because if I'm rounding up right now that I'm 40, I cannot.
Wait, you're about to be 40?
No, I am about to be 39. But who rounds up to 39?
Yeah, exactly. I get it.
So you round up to 4, but I'm not.
Don't do it. I mean, you can do it.
I'm still going to round down.
My 40s have been really great.
The amount that I'm paying for Botox, I could round down a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
35.
You totally could.
35.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like I dress a little younger.
Oh, I definitely do.
But I feel like at what point is my face, and you've seen my roots. Mm-hmm. She's not 35.
Well, listen, my mom's always like, I mean, I get Botox. I've had some surgeries, not anything like to snatch me up. Just like I hated my nose. I got that fixed. My ears, could catch wind and take me on a trip. So I got those tucked back a little bit. But I have not had, but when I do get stuff like Botox or filler or something like that, my mom's always like, why you gotta do all that stuff? And I'm like, listen, girl, if you want to walk around looking like the Crypt Keeper with your shit dragging behind you, that's on you. Okay, but my mind and my face have to somewhat match. So I am going to get surgeries. Yes. I am going to be like Joan Rivers.
Yes.
You know, when I hit the casket, ain't going to be nothing but plastic. They're going to dig me up and I'm still going to look like Joan Rivers or somebody.
They will not be able
to
cremate because they'll say this is a problem for the ozone. Yeah. We got to bury this in the ground.
You know, those In Focus magazines, when you look and you see all those Bellmead people, which I love them to death, but their face is frozen. That will 100% me. And they look scared. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be me. Don't care.
That's going to be you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like the technology is good. You could really,
nowadays,
you do it right.
You know, if you do it younger.
You're in the like beauty business. Mm-hmm. You know the people. Yeah. You work on enough people where you're like, hey, where'd you do this? Yeah. Because I need to do that.
Well, here's the thing. I have several clients who are really good surgeons here in town. And their thing is, people wait too late to get the major stuff done.
There you go.
Like I'm 47, but I'm probably going to have some things done here pretty soon. Mm-hmm. But if you do them younger, then it's never a shock. And
it's
you kind of just keep it.
You
kind of just keep it there and then you don't have to do it forever. But sometimes the older people, when they get it and then all of a sudden they look like they've come through the birth canal again, but it's a little too tight.
Yeah.
That's when it's a train wreck. Yeah,
that's a good tip.
Mm-hmm. Teach their own, though. To each their own. Well, I'm not telling you what to do, but don't tell me what to do either.
I think I started Botox at like 29, 30. Mm-hmm. It was whenever the iPhone 10 came out, and I remember taking a selfie with someone. Yeah. Even on the selfie side, which is not as good. Yeah. And the way the light hit some of this, I was like, I need some Botox.
Right now.
Yeah, like I didn't think.
Well, if you don't ever get the wrinkles, then you don't ever have to do anything about it.
Right.
Because I think some of the people that look the best in Hollywood, they probably have done Botox and fillers. And so they've never had to have those major things done to where then they don't look like themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
It's,
but I'm not opposed to anything.
I'm pro Botox, pro fillers. You know, I mean, Dolly Parton.
Yeah, I love her.
She's an idol. I mean, you know, if you're
and she
trying to
doesn't
look
make
like
any
Dolly
bones
Parton,
about
don't,
it. You
because
know,
there's only one.
Yeah.
But the way that she fully and has forever embraced all of it.
Yeah, she makes fun of it. She makes fun of herself. She's like,
but also look at she's
fabulous.
Only Dolly Parton, like the only one.
Yeah, she's one of the most real. Like, to be as artificial as she is on the exterior, she's one of the most real people on the interior, and that's really what counts.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that are the opposite.
I know. I do feel like sometimes I am sitting in the waiting room at a salon, and we're all there to get things put into our face.
Yeah.
And then the way some people who are getting things put into their face treat the girls that are trying to help us get to the back. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, we don't.
Yeah, it's just not necessary.
Look good, feel good.
Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so you do hair. You did hair forever.
Yeah, hair forever. 20-something years now. Longer than that, really, but let's just say that.
And I know, I think, was it before you got into real estate? Maybe around the same time, but like you and Holly were inseparable. So I feel like I was just seeing more of you, hearing more about you.
Yeah.
Chad does that.
All the things.
Chad's doing real estate now. I'm like, well, hold on. How did you?
Yeah. How that transition happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, doing hair, and I really do love doing hair. And it has given me so many opportunities, but it's not easy on your body to stand up in one spot.
That is what I hear from so many. And me just haven't been in real, when y'all went to go get your cosmetology license at 18, I went to go get my real estate license.
Right. Which is stellar.
And I don't have I would have been fired immediately.
Right.
I'm way too distracted.
Yeah.
But real estate also should have been fired immediately, but it worked out.
Right. Here we are.
Yeah. Not ruining anybody's hair.
Yeah.
But I have heard that for years, just me being in real estate, sitting in people's chairs, and they're like, do you think I could get out of this and do real estate? And I'm like, which honestly, I feel like y'all are primed to do it.
Right.
And you found out that you were, because you have so many people in your chair, and you're just like, hey, girl, I'll do real estate now. You need a house.
Yeah. Yep. That genuinely
and they already trust you. You've already been their therapist for 10 years.
It's really as we both know in real estate. Well, let me say this too. Even right now, me sitting my shoulders are here because I've been this. So I'm like, okay, Chad, get your posture together. But I grew up in my grandmother's salon, which is where that came into play when she took me to town. My mom's mom did hair. So that was kind of like a passion. That's how I got into that to begin with. But I also built houses every summer with my grandfather. So houses and hair were just two things that I knew. And to be quite honest, real estate is very much an emotional.
Really? It is.
Even so even sometimes back in the day, you maybe had some people that were more of an emotional real estate person, and then you had some high D's and type A personalities that didn't have any of the emotion into it, but just wanted the numbers. So it was kind of whatever. But I feel like now real estate, regardless of who they are, type A, type B, type D, C, Z, whatever, there's some emotion that goes into it regardless, because the world we live in is so insanely crazy and divided, and that people want to feel like they're being taken care of, and that you're hearing them. And there's so many real estate agents, and I'm not knocking on any of them, that are doing old school real estate, which is a win and a lose, and about the money and chasing the money. But I feel like real estate now, to be successful, you really have to hone in, and people have to feel like it's a very coming from a place of care and concern, and that you're actually hearing them and you're wanting to really take care of them. And that hair career has really set me up for dealing with and being very attentive to all the different personalities, because I get them all in my chair. and really how to navigate and when to push the gas to help them make a decision that is right for them.
Yeah.
Not to manipulate or massage their emotions to make them do something that's not right.
Right.
But sometimes when people are unrealistically not wanting to do something and it's not doesn't make sense. That's not a good word, but like it doesn't have any what am I trying to say?
I don't know. What are you trying to say?
Here's what I'm trying to say. When they're afraid to make a decision because it's unwarranted.
Okay.
But I know the decision needs to be made. I'm much easier to push the gas and help them get to that decision. But when it is in a realistic situation and they really don't feel good about it for particular reasons, I will pull back.
Yeah.
I mean, I have written offers before with clients and I always say, let's sleep on it and we'll submit this in the morning.
Yes.
If you're feeling the same way. And then there's been times twice where people are like, I slept on it and I just don't feel good. And they will tell me the reason. I'm like, okay, well then we won't write it. And I have to call the other agent. And sometimes the other agent is upset and I'm like, well, I can't,
right.
I'm
sorry, I'm not going to force someone to do something.
I can't force my clients to this. They really wanted to do this, but they changed their mind this morning. I can't help that.
Yeah.
But also there was a couple situations where the other agents were like, we have another offer. And I get that that's a play sometimes. And in that moment, I told my clients, I was like, listen, I don't know if they do or don't have an offer. We won't know that. But if you really want this house, our highest and best is what we need to do.
Yes.
But if you don't and you feel the pressure's too much, then no. But regardless, we wrote the offer, highest and best. They slept on it, and they just didn't woke up not feeling great about it. So we didn't do that. But just in that one instance, we found a house that was even more perfect for them.
Exactly.
A month later, and it was a whole situation. And they're in there, and they told me later, they were like, "Listen, as long as we had been working for you to find a place, if you would have pushed us in that moment, we would have told you we need to take a break from real estate, and we actually would have found somebody
exactly.
else." So I've just come to learn that real estate now is more about what you can offer a person, but also just really honing in and listening to your clients and knowing when to push the gas and knowing when to push the brakes for the right or wrong reasons.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like being behind the chair for so many years prior to real estate really trains you up for that. Because one, you're going to get paid no matter what.
Yep, totally.
Cutting hair.
Yeah, totally.
But they can tell you their biggest fears.
Yeah. They feel comfortable.
Knows more about me than Nina and Mackenzie, who take care of this situation.
All the things. Yeah, people.
They know gossip I won't tell other people.
Yeah. Well, there's a new thing in a lot of the cosmetology programs around the country that they're implementing a type of therapy type situation because it is just a statistic that people will tell us things they will not actually share with their therapist, with their doctor.
Yes.
So, just going through that situation, in the real estate world, it really has prepared me to be able to do this job in such a way because I don't have a business brain, but you can be taught that.
Absolutely.
But it's hard to be taught years of experience of dealing with people's emotions.
People
you know what I'm saying?
is a whole thing. And I have said this before and will say it for a while. Now, I would not have been qualified for real estate if what I want was true, which is more of that emotional mental health, not full licensed therapy stuff, but just like how to deal with people as a real estate agent, like just a little psychology class or something, and a little bit more people related education because you really have people. It's 2 weeks of real estate school and you got to pass a test and that they can teach you how to pass that test, and then you just have people come out of real estate school like, let's do this, and it's like
it's a train wreck.
You
hot
gotta
mess express. And there's some realtors, as we both know, I have to do the work for them. I have to do the work for the real estate agent because they're not doing their job.
They don't know what's happening.
And I don't think it's like a... Here's the thing. I think especially And I got into it in like 2019. So it was blowing and going. But when 2020 happened and, COVID hit and the rates were those 2s and 3%.
Yeah.
And people could just stick a sign in the yard. It created a lot of people that got into real estate that didn't have to actually do the work.
Yes.
But now that the market has shifted and people are having to
do
a lot of the work, then you find a lot of people that don't know what they're doing and aren't really going about it the right way to be beneficial for their clients. Because again, real estate now is not a win or lose. There's a way for you to get to the center for both parties and everybody walk away and feel good about it, and people still want to work with you moving forward in the future. You know what I'm saying?
It should not have to be so refreshing to work with another real estate agent who wants the best for everybody.
Yeah.
But I find that like a couple times a year I get that agent that's like, because I know I'm showing up to a transaction, I'm on my buyer side or my seller side, and I'm on the other agent side too.
Yeah, totally.
Like
you have to help them.
I want you to get your job done. What can I do with what I've got to help you get your job done?
Yeah.
What do y'all need?
Yeah.
But more often than not, I feel like the agents that we're dealing with are like, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to screw up yours a little bit.
Right.
And we're going to fight about it. And I'm like,
They make it so much more difficult than it needs to be.
I don't want to fight. And I think a lot of those agents that came up through the pandemic where it was just easy.
Right.
Don't have those skills because that was a seller's market. If you got a listing,
totally,
you can just sit back and whatever. Like if it doesn't work for you, I got 7 more.
Yeah.
And those same listing agents are now listing and still showing up and trying to put their nuts on the table. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you need us. Yeah. I'm going to be nice to you, but I really think you should be nice to me too.
No, totally.
Because you need us. Because there's not 7 more buyers behind me.
There's not. And the thing about it is the last couple of years, it has been a buyer's market. And that's been really hard because you want to know something really crazy? When it's a buyer's market, a lot of people don't buy. They wait till it's a seller's market. And that's another reason I think I've been successful over these last, especially couple of years, is because I've been educating people about that type of situation. Like, listen, if it can financially work out for you and you can do it, you have an opportunity when it's a buyer's market and interest rates are a little higher to negotiate purchase prices, to get concessions, to get them to pay for things, yada, 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 so on and so forth. But if you wait until interest rates drop and all these buyers come to the table, then you're gonna you'll get a better interest rate, but you're gonna get a higher purchase price. You're gonna have to pay your closing costs. So you're actually gonna be paying more money to a certain degree when you could have got a cheaper purchase price, got everything paid for, and when the interest rates moved, you can negotiate that interest rate, but you can never negotiate your purchase price. It is what it is.
No, that's what it is.
So it's really having those conversations, but there's so many realtors that don't have those conversations. Yes. And just like, oh yeah, well, I guess so. All right, well, let's move on. But, also too, going back to me being in hair, sometimes my boss or some of my other friends will be like, why do you still do hair one day a week if you're doing so great in real estate? But most of the people that I have come from my hair business. Yeah. I got a client this past year who came to me. He got recommended me to get his hair cut, and he's in a band, but he got his hair cut by me and then realized I did real estate. We did a transaction, and then he sent me every one of his bandmates. He has sent me people that build stages. All these things that, I can't tell you, I don't know of one person, even there's people that work with me in Sola that will send me their clients. Yes. Chad does real estate. Yes. And and I'd like to.
Hopefully Nina doesn't, and hopefully Nina sends them my way.
Not. No, my friend, I'll tell you, my friend Vicky that works down the hall. Yeah. The thing about it is my friend Vicky, who I've worked with for 20 years, she sends me some of our people. Glenda, that I'm friends with, she has bought houses for me and also sent me people, which has been great. But, at the end of the day, I'm really gonna do my best, just like you are. We're the same type of real estate agent. Yeah. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna come from a place of care and concern. You're gonna drive the car. I'm gonna give you the information, and we're gonna get to the finish line. Yes. And at the end of the day, because here's the thing, there's been also, even with like investors and stuff, you can find investments for people, but if they're not the right investments, you don't dig into the numbers and it doesn't really work out for them, they're not going to use you again.
No.
So you've got to think about, in this industry, really taking care of people and really staying in touch with people after the fact.
Yes.
Because I think it's like 80% of realtors, buyer's agents, or buyers don't use the same buyer's agent again, not because they didn't do a good job, because they can't remember their name, because after the deal's done, they never hear from them again, and they forget if there was never a personal connection.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Right. So like,
and I don't understand that, not having a personal connection, because I
probably have too much of one.
I know. When I get through a transaction and I realize I'm about to not talk to this person every other day for the next month, I'm like, congrats on your closing. I'm really going to miss you. Yeah.
It's so true.
Can we get lunch on Tuesday?
Girl, I'll be going to people's houses.
Yes.
But like, when I joined Tim's team, the Kind Property Group, because I grew up in real estate.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up in real estate. I grew up in construction.
Right. Houses.
So like, and please don't come for me, state boards or anything, because it's over. I've done it. It's too bad. Too late. But
statute of limitations.
I was like going through things and people were like, I tore up somebody's carpet and put hardwood floors in the whole house by myself one time, because she was like, I want this house, but I don't like this carpet. And I was like, girl, I will tear up all this carpet for you and I will put these floors in. And I did it.
We got you.
But I shouldn't be.
Right.
I was crawling under people's houses with flashlights on my head. My mom would FaceTime me. She's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm under somebody's house, girl. I got to call you back. And I'm like digging through the back because these clients didn't want to have this HVAC duct pinned up. All it was a
Right. I know.
And like, we
got to go pay the HVAC guy $350 to do that. And you're like,
I was like, girl, I'll get under that house and I'll do that. I was on people's roofs.
Yeah.
But my boss and them were like, Chad, this is legally not, not legally, but like, you could get hurt.
Liabilities.
It's a whole thing.
Right.
Like, you got to quit doing this. So I don't do that anymore, but I do like to think that I do go above and beyond, and I do try to, but back to working with other agents and you saying like, they should make it easy on us. It's easy, but there have been also other deals that I've gotten my clients the offer. I've got them the sale because the other agent, even though they may have had a little higher offer or they were like, I know you.
Chad
I know you're easy to work with, and
absolutely.
I know we're going to get to the finish line.
Absolutely.
And I just think that's really important.
And I think
co-brokering in this market is so important.
I think that is really important. I've been on both sides of that, like with the buyer, where like we maybe weren't the highest, but for whatever reason that agent, whether it's the way I presented it or they knew me before, is like, no, this will close.
Right.
We take this one. And I've been on the listing side where I get 10 offers and maybe the highest one, I'm like, here's a couple of weird things.
Right.
Here's how they presented it. Now,
because they'll try
seller,
to get you.
You're welcome to take this offer,
Right.
but let me just say, this is how they presented it.
Yeah. I had a deal in East Nashville. It was the same people that if I would have pushed them, they would have gone a different direction. But we didn't have the highest offer, but ours was really clean. And they were already completely approved and underwritten and everything. And this agent knew this, and I'd worked with this agent before. The other people the offer was like $100,000 more. It was cash, but that was a contingent upon appraisal. It was contingent on, I was like, and that house would not have appraised for more than what we were paying for, because we were at the top of what I knew it would comp out for. But those people, if it was contingent appraisal, then they would have got the house for the other reason anyway. And they had all these little picky things in there. And the agent was like, I know they're going to try to get us on X, Y, and Z when your offer was just cleaner. And that's just how it was. So, you have to really, as an agent, pay attention to those type of things and educate your client. Like, yes, this looks good, but if X, Y, and Z happens, then this offer is actually better.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And cleaner.
Yes.
So
it's been a couple years. I think it was when we were still in a little bit of a seller's market. Yeah, because I had multiple offers.
Yeah.
And the offer that we accepted, it was like, I'm sure it had the price, but it also had conventional loan. And this house was one in, I'm not going to say disrepair, but knowing an FHA appraiser, it was going to be like, we'll be doing a little bit more work if we take an FHA
Yeah.
offer.
They are so particular.
Yes.
Jesus.
And you never know how particular they're going to be that day.
Yeah.
But this one, like, the deck was falling apart and he didn't want to do it. So I was like, that deck is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's go with this conventional one. And the offer was written pretty tight. It was all good. We go with the conventional one. The fact that they were doing a conventional loan was actually a lie on the contract. And I didn't find out until the FHA appraiser showed up.
Oh my gosh.
And said,
that's the worst.
I can't give you this appraisal until y'all fix a whole deck. It was... Girl, ultimately, we got it closed. We all worked it out. We had some concessions, whatever. But that agent, and not in a mean way, but I had to have a very frank conversation with her of not only did you mislead me, potentially lying on a legally binding document.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason that you have to check on that contract. Is this conventional, FHA, right. Cash? Like, that's information that we are using to make further decisions on.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Had you pressed FHA, we would know what we're dealing with. Instead, it's a surprise. 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
2 weeks from closing.
Yeah.
We can't, like, y'all about to lose this.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
Like I said, it all worked out and it was fine, but... Don't make me have hard conversations with you that your broker should be having with you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the freak? But yeah, I got into that same situation. I started laughing when you said it because I got into a situation with a girl who's one of my good friends, and I had bought and sold several of her houses, but she bought a house, and it was actually was it a VA? Yeah, it was a VA because her husband's in the military, and but VA and FHA, they have those same type of regulations and rules, right? And I had a lender who I'm good friends with and I love, and we got down to it, and they were not approving the loan because the appraiser came out and the window sills were all like the paint was flaking and stuff. Girl, me and this lender went to the Homo Depot.
Yeah, you did.
And we got some paint and some sanding, and we were on ladders, and we scrubbed that thing.
Yeah.
And do you know that we spent a whole day doing that for them, and like staining some siding on the house and stuff. And the appraiser finally was like, I think it had snowed and stuff, and he was like, I just can't get back out there. I'll go ahead and approve it. So we had to do all that, and then it didn't. He didn't even come back out to do it, but we were out there like doing the most. But I was like, we're getting this done.
And that's what a good agent will do the most.
Most agents would hire somebody, but I was like, I'm going out here.
Maybe not for some paint.
Right.
Like,
and Austin was like, I'm coming with you, bro.
You can't get paint before the weekend? I'll get you some paint before the weekend.
We were out there hustling.
Yeah. And
it was crazy.
And there's so many little things like that. I was on the internet yesterday, and that sweet Megan Jernigan had a post of her picking up a dead bird off the like front entryway of her listing. And it just was like real estate agents doing the most. And I'm like, that's what we do. I have removed a dead cat.
Dang.
I have been in some questionable crawl spaces, basements, attics.
Totally.
And I had this one, like, deathly afraid of basements, this one client. And I'm not saying that I'm the most comfortable with basements.
No, totally
but
not.
If you're really going to have a panic attack going down there, like, then how about I'll go down there and take some pictures for you?
No, ma'am.
Like, we'll do
I'm not
whatever.
That agent. I'm scared.
You're not going in the
basement?
basement?
I've watched too many scary movies. Annabelle's not for to eat my face
We're going to save that for the home inspector.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, listen, girl, they're going to do a home inspection. We'll get all the pictures, but I'm not going down there either. I'm just not. I will do a lot of things, but I'm not going in some creepy ass basement. It's just not.
Did you know that being able to smell mildew is a genetic trait?
Really?
Really.
Damn, Gina. I love that.
So I am very sensitive to a mildew smell. I am not a mold inspector. I'm not a home inspector, but I can smell something funky.
But you're like, listen, girl.
And I can let you know if I smell something funky. And I had this one client, and she was She was the pickier variety of buyer, and we might have been looking at houses for a little over a year. But also I do love that sometimes where I'm glad you're picky, and it's so validating for me to get to that point where like she'd be out of town and a listing would come up and she'd be like, go look, use your nose, let me know if there's mildew.
Right.
You know, and like just a year of working with someone and you get to know and you start to have your own little language with them where it's like, I know what you're looking for. I know what you're smelling for. Let me go see this house for you real quick. And I think the one that we got for her ended up being like over video because we had gotten to that point of like trust and communication.
Yeah.
And me being able to smell mildew or not.
And you do after a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, Molly and them get on to me. Molly and Tim get on to me. They're like, in the beginning when I'm showing somebody new, I'll show them those 10 houses every weekend, you know, for a couple weekends, you know, because I need them to go through the process and I need to
but it's like
go
dating.
through the process with them.
Yeah, it's dating. We got to
and I'm like,
break down
I've
some
got to
barriers
build trust
and
with them.
Yeah.
And then I can be like, okay, listen, so-and-so, we've seen these houses. I'm not going to show you any more of these houses, even though you keep sending them to me, because every one of them is a no.
Yes.
And I know now that you don't want a house that's been built before 2020 because you don't like any of the older stuff, even if it's been redone.
Yes.
So you feel more comfortable
Yes.
when you build up that relationship with people. And when you do know them, you can say those types of things.
Yes.
And that's really what the relationship of being a real estate agent or even a hairstylist is building those trusting relationships where you know how to talk to somebody.
Yes.
Period.
Hugo, how long have we been talking about real estate when we didn't even mean to talk about real estate?
Yeah. We're at 15 minutes, but it's good little chunk.
We got 15 minutes left?
No,
there's no time limit.
There's no time limit. Do you have a time limit today?
I do have a showing a little after 11, but it's not far.
Perfect.
Okay.
Have we been talking long enough? Because I know we got
I
started.
mean, definitely.
But I feel like I'd love to know a little more kind of about, because Chad, your backstory, Senatobia, Mississippi is right there next to you.
Bro, that's where I went to college.
Right.
I went to Northwest.
Small town, town, now coming to Nashville.
You're from Senatobia?
Yeah, well, I was born in Georgia, but my family
Shut the front door.
has like a restaurant in Senatobia.
Bro, I was on the rodeo team in Senatobia.
Oh, this is crazy.
Okay, Como Steakhouse is where I go when I go home.
After, I've been telling Kristen I'm trying to get into the rodeo, like filming like rodeo in the equestrian space.
Bro, I know all the people.
You just wait.
Connection, right there.
I'm so excited.
We were,
but
yes.
Yeah, like, when I go to, my hairdresser, I feel like I am doing him such a disservice because I have no idea how to communicate with him. And it's like so much pressure and intensity.
Yeah.
So just kind of like hearing a little bit more of that because you would be considered like an expert in this space if you've been, like hearing, like what can you tell viewers, like guys out there who, like how can they speak to
their hairstylists?
Yeah, and like understanding.
Yeah. Not to make Hugo insecure, but it would never cross my mind that somebody wouldn't know how to talk to a hairstylist. But I guess, I hear that from Nina and Mackenzie that some people just come in and
especially guys. Guys don't know because honestly, should I just go ahead and start talking about it?
Talk.
Okay, so for hair situations, especially me being more of an expert in men's hair. Mm-hmm. And other things, but we won't get into that. That's for Call Me Daddy podcast.
She's funny.
Yeah, I love her. But it's really kind of crazy because when I first got into doing men's hair, my boss was like, I really need you to know how to do men's hair. I was like, yeah, but women's hair is so much more intricate and hard. And color for women's hair is so much more intricate and hard. But cutting women's hair, no offense, I could pick up your hair in the back and cut a huge chunk out and put your hair down and nobody would even know there's missing hair. But for men's hair, you got scalp licks, you got hair patterns, it's shorter. Some men's hair is so fine that it has no body and it lays, so you see every cut mark. So for me personally, like I actually love cutting men's hair because it is way more challenging than any kind of other hair that I've done. But the thing about it is for men, when they come in and sometimes they don't know what they want, pictures are always helpful.
Sure.
And when I see pictures, I can either say, this is going to work for your hair, but this is what you're going to have to do, because there's so many men that come in and they want a hairstyle, but they don't want to do shit.
You got to work for it.
They're like, no, I don't want to have to do anything. And I'm like, do you think their hair sticks up and does all these different weird things because they didn't do anything or put any hair products in their hair? Like, bro, what you talking about, Willis? Like, that's not gonna happen then.
Right.
But I'm like, you at least need to get a blow dryer. A blow dryer. I'm like, yeah. Does your wife have a blow dryer? Like, something. Go get. Yeah. You can go get one of them little bitty.
Yes.
I mean, you can tiny one.
Yes.
I don't even care. But you got to put some forth effort into it. But I always tell guys that may not know what they want with their hair, like, go in with pictures. Ask, will this work for your hair? Ask what what the maintenance is, or how much time and energy and effort you're going to have to put into it. And then you'll know if you can do it or not. But I'll be really honest with you. There's so many people that are precision cutters, and people that are really good precision cutters, which are really good for those asymmetrical bobs for women, or stuff like that. But a lot of the times, precision cutters for men's hair is not good. You have to have almost an artistic style of cutting, because there's some hair
to be able to see.
Because if you're so precise and it has to be so long, there's like my ex Justin, his hair grew straight out on one side and straight down on the other.
Oh God.
So if I were to cut it the same exact length and it was precise, then one side would look bigger than the other. So for me personally, I have to go in and really tailor. So if you got in there and dug around, one side might be longer and this might be, but when they style it, it all looks cohesive and it looks the same. So like those were the type of skills and stuff that I learned over time cutting hair that were really that really set me up for success. And fortunately I've gotten to work with some of the biggest music people in the industry, and some of the biggest celebrities. Like I got to go to LA. I mean, just things that like, let me just say this to people. Life is about taking chances. And not letting fear hold you back. I feel like fear is what will, like, God is giving you opportunities, and God gives so many people so many opportunities, and they see it, but they let fear hold them back, which for me, fear is the devil. If you jump, the net will catch you.
Absolutely.
Because, and I'm not saying this as a brag or as a whatever, I'm just saying this as maybe some encouragement and hope to give people that, like, I grew up in a trailer park. I didn't have no damn shoes till I was like 12. Like, I'm gay. I feel like all the cards were stacked against me. But when I took that moment and I trusted that God was leading me in the right direction, and I got here, I mean, I've worked in NBC studios, like some of the people from Game of Thrones, like some of the Housewives, the Chrisleys. Jason Aldean's my client right now. Rascal Flatts, Nate Smith. Like all these people. But if I had not believed in myself, and I really didn't believe in myself in that moment, but I believed that God was leading me in the right direction.
Right. And you had some people really like, I believe in you enough to send you to a completely different continent right now to learn everything. Some stuff.
Again, there were so many different situations that happened, even when I went to France, there were so many different things that it was just all in the right direction, because I was moving in the right direction, and I was not letting fear hold me back. But I mean, I have created the life for myself, but it not only created a life for myself, but when I was able to do that, it also created me believing more in myself.
Yes.
Because if you can't love and believe in you first, then you can't love and believe in other people.
Truly.
Period.
Truly.
That's just how I feel.
And I feel like, I mean, that man that you talked to at Aldean, because you show up and you emanate some sparkly light.
Yeah.
I could see it behind a thick layer of makeup the first time I met you.
Yeah, totally.
I book my color appointments with Nina on Wednesdays every chance I get, because Chad is at the salon on Wednesdays, and I got to see that bright smiley face.
Thank you.
But that's just, I mean, you were born Chad Double D's. You were born with a sparkly light. And thank God you don't let fear rule the day.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, sometimes you got to take a break from being fearless. But
we just talked about it, and I just showed you before I came. I mean, I recently, just in the last, year or two, have started having these really weird panic attacks, which are, I haven't figured them out, but I am going to figure it out. I don't know what it is, but like, regardless, what I would like to say too is that life also is about your mind and your mindset, because there's so many people that lean into the negative or lean into the why they can't, and you have to really lean into the why you can, and just be positive about stuff. Because I'm gonna be really honest with you, I don't wake up every day and feel amazing, and I don't wake up every day but I do wake up every day feeling grateful.
Yeah.
And if you live in gratitude, it's hard to have other emotions when you're grateful. And so, and when you're positive, and again, if you think it and you believe it, then you will become it. So it's there's always going to be things that happen. And you know, now that I look back on my life and all the things that have happened to me that have been really terrible, they have really prepared me for the things that were coming.
Absolutely.
So that's just how life and
works.
God and the universe works.
So that you can pass it forward.
Yeah.
That's just and I feel like that'll make that's another aspect that'll make you a great real estate agent.
Yeah.
Because I am also like, we're going to stay cup half full. Yeah. We're going to stay positive. We're going to stay grateful. I will walk into a house and look around, and inside my brain, I'm like, ooh, good.
Yeah.
But then I don't say it. And maybe this is where we're at with our price range. And maybe this is where we're at with our school zone or whatever it is that my client needs.
Yeah.
And look around and be like, oh my God, aren't these columns just the best?
Yeah.
And
focus
like
on the positive
stay
things.
positive on the house. Listing a house that you're like, okay, this is going to be some work.
Yeah.
And you stay positive on the house.
Well, and you know, a lot of the times, unless I'm really good friends with the client or I know them very, very well, I really stay mute and watch and pay attention to them. Because let me tell you something. We pulled up some places before and I thought,
this ain't it.
This is a hot, terrible train wreck. Britney Spears shave your head.
Yes.
And
the
they go in and they're like, this is what I've been looking for. And I'm like, oh shit. If I would have said something, this would have been like, you know,
right,
but like,
let's make the best of this.
Yeah, like, okay, let's get that inspection done, girl. On the floor. But you know, it just, yeah, you know, there's a lot of times too that I've learned in real estate, like when I walk in, I mean, I want to scream and yell and I want to be like, but I feel like I'm like a duck, like I'm calm on the surface, but internally, and when I leave, I'm like pedaling like hell under the water to stay on top, just to, but people don't see that. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you go because you have a showing.
Yeah, I got to go show
I'm really
some
glad
people
you came. I want this episode to be 3 hours long.
Yes. We can do it again.
I love you so much.
I love you so much. Thank you for having me.
I see Nina tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I think I specifically made Wednesdays on like my next couple appointments. So I'll be seeing you.
I love that. I'll be around.
In the next month.
Be sure if I'm like busy, I know you're there.
No, I always see you.
Okay.
I always see you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I asked Nina. I'm like, is he here yet?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, he walked by. He's here.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Do you have your client at 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. They're people I know. So if they're there, I'll just, and they are never on time. I can assure you of that.
Yeah. Gifting confidence. Like I feel like that would have been a good like bit. We didn't get to, but.
Well, look, here we go. I'm running just a few minutes late, but I'm driving like I stole the ETA 1106. I know these people.
Okay.
I am actually running a few minutes behind too, and I probably won't be there till 11:10, or so.
Where's the house?
It's right behind Maggiano's.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm gonna boom boom jump around.
Yeah.
Gifting confidence, like people in the chair, like oftentimes people will come in, and you know I feel like it is a skill that over time maybe you have developed, but in like really reading people. And I'd love to hear like a little bit about that. And do you believe you do that? Do you believe that that's sometimes like something that you're able to give people, and like, a lot of people react and treat you and feel towards you?
Yeah.
Because you're able to give them that.
No, you have to. I mean, I feel like you do that. You do that in the chair, and you do that in the real estate transaction. You are building people up.
Here's the thing, and this is, I'm not for sure, and I feel grateful that I have the gift that I have of making people feel comfortable and safe. That is something that I don't think you can actually, I think you can work on it and learn it, but I think it's most of the time just a God-given gift that you are and listen, it's a blessing and a curse. I'm super empathic.
Yes.
Like I feel what people are saying. I cry at, commercials and shit on TV because even though it's made up, I feel it. And if it's done well, something that's terrible. But my boss, Tim, was like, I can teach you because when the market shifted, I did well in real estate, but when the market shifted, I felt like I was going to be one of those people that because I don't have that much of a business brain and there's a lot of economic things that I don't understand because I just never knew that, but I'm really good with people. But I knew that Tim has kind of built his business on that. And Tim's like, listen, we can teach you and you can learn these types of things. And we have meetings every week, which is so helpful for me. But he's like, nobody can be taught what you have.
Exactly.
Which is the gift of being empathetic and feeling that for people. So when I am that way with my clients, they know it's real because it is real. Like I actually, somebody was saying something to me one time, like, you just always are the same. And I was like, I really would not know how to be any different than how I am. You'll never see me faking it. You'll always be like, hey, who are you? Like if I went to the White House, I'd probably be like, hey, bitch, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I am.
Yeah.
But it's real and genuine and authentic. And I love Jesus, but I do curse a lot. And my old boss would even say, Dennis, who hired me, we had like a big meeting one time with an attorney that came in because we had such a big salon and such a big skin center, and they were coming in talking about like the do's and don'ts of work ethics and how you should act and work so that you don't like get in trouble with clients.
Right.
And Dennis, when he got up there, he's like, everybody, I know y'all probably all think that this attorney is here for Chad because how crazy he talks. But for some reason, his clients love it. It's endearing. And I'm not saying that I talk so crass and crazy, but I just am who I am.
Yes.
And it just is, people just, they either love it or they don't. But like most people love it because it's very authentic and genuine.
We had this conversation at the salon one time.
Yeah.
You and I have just like, you do know your audience.
Yeah, I know my audience.
If you have walked into a church of all grannies, you're going to be like,
yeah, now listen, I'm not saying I talk proper, but I definitely will tone down who I am. And I'm not saying I cuss like a sailor all the time. I'm just saying normally if I'm comfortable with somebody, I'm just authentically myself.
Yeah.
But I do, I can pick up on somebody's energy and the way they're feeling without them even saying something, which is super helpful in real estate transactions. I can almost feel it without them saying something.
Yes.
So again, I don't know how to teach that, but I'm grateful that I have that gift. That's all I know.
Also, two things about cursing.
Yeah.
Before we just kill this, because you got to go.
Yeah.
But one, they say that highly intelligent people curse a lot.
Yeah.
So we're good.
Thank you.
And two, if you are going to try to tell me that Jesus didn't take his own name in vain when he stubbed his toe, and they're walking around in sandals.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Because he did.
None of those curse words are in the Bible.
No.
We made those up. These are man-made curse words.
We did. And they feel good.
People don't
They're
care.
appropriate sometimes. They don't.
It's not that big of a deal. Get off the cross. We need the blood.
And if it's,
you know what I'm saying?
If you don't like the words in this podcast, quit watching. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.